Cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well,
After years of failures and being written off as impossible, the United States Air Force is finally chasing its old dream again, a laser-armed fighter jet. And this time, the funding behind it is bigger than ever before. But will the F-22 Raptor, America's legendary stealth fighter, really be the first to get this technology? Or is this just another old promise being recycled? Stick around, because the truth is more interesting than you think. A brief history. The dream of a laser-armed fighter jet isn't new. Back in the 1970s, the U.S. Air Force launched the Airborne Laser Laboratory program, attempting to build what they called an aerial battleship, capable of protecting bombers from incoming missiles. It peaked in 2010, when a modified Boeing 747 known as the YAL-1 successfully destroyed several ballistic missiles in testing. Sounds like a huge success, right? But just a year later, the program was scrapped entirely, deemed too expensive and too technically complex. Then came a new effort called SHIELD, the Self-Protect High-Energy Laser Demonstrator. This time, the target wasn't a massive bomber, but a fighter jet, initially the F-15 Eagle. Unfortunately, that program also proved too challenging, and it never even made it to actual flight testing. So as of today, no U.S. fighter jet has ever actually flown with a laser weapon mounted on its airframe. That includes the F-22 Raptor. What's happening in 2026? But here's where things get interesting. After zeroing out funding for airborne lasers in its fiscal year 2026 budget, the Air Force has now announced plans to relaunch an airborne laser weapon initiative for fiscal year 2027. Why the sudden change of direction? Because cheap drone threats flooding modern battlefields, from Ukraine to the Middle East, have forced the Pentagon to recognize they need a cheaper per-shot defense solution than conventional missiles. And it's not just happening in the air. In May 2026, the Pentagon announced it would test laser and microwave weapon systems across 5 U.S. military bases, including Grand Forks Air Force Base and Whiteman Air Force Base, home to America's strategic bomber fleet. The goal: protecting critical infrastructure from the growing threat of small drones near military and civilian airspace. The Air Force has also reconsidered high-energy laser weapons to defend bases from low-cost drone threats, after previously abandoning similar efforts. So what's actually happening isn't that the F-22 suddenly got a laser bolted on. What's happening is a massive comeback for the entire U.S. military laser weapons ecosystem, from base defense systems to next-generation airborne laser plans. How does this connect to the F-22? So why does the F-22 keep coming up in these discussions? In theory, it's an ideal candidate. High speed, stealth capability, and its role as an air superiority fighter make it well suited for a self-defense weapon like a laser. But the problem comes down to 3 things: space, power, and cooling. The F-22 was designed back in the 1990s, long before laser technology became compact enough to fit inside a fighter jet that small. Laser weapons require massive amounts of electrical power and complex cooling systems, something extremely difficult to squeeze into an airframe that's already packed to maintain its stealth profile. That's exactly why earlier efforts like SHIELD made more sense on aircraft with more internal space, and why the most promising candidates for next-generation airborne lasers are entirely new platforms designed from the ground up with directed energy weapons in mind, not retrofits of older jets like the F-22. What's next? So when will we actually see a U.S. fighter jet flying with a combat-ready laser weapon? The military is targeting a major demonstration in the summer of 2028, as part of a broader national missile defense initiative known as Golden Dome. But it's worth remembering a retired Air Force general who once led the YAL-1 program has said the laser weapons community has a long-standing reputation for over-promising and under-delivering. So even with significantly more funding flowing in than ever before, history shows this technology still has to prove itself in the real world, not just in a lab. Will the F-22 eventually become part of this laser era, or will its role be taken over by a next-generation jet like NGAD, designed from day one with directed energy weapons in mind? That question remains wide open. So no, lasers aren't yet a weapon on the F-22 Raptor today. But with funding continuing to pour in and drone threats becoming more real by the day, the future of laser-armed fighter jets isn't really a question of if anymore, it's a question of when. Which US fighter jet do you think will be the first to actually fly with a fully functional laser weapon? Drop your prediction in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next update on military technology.